Welcome to the Disneyverse podcast!
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Disneyverse podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Graeme, and tonight I'm joined by
Bernardo from the Main Street News. Hello, everyone. It's been a long while since we've done one of these. You were saying 8 months, right?
8 months since we last sat in this studio and done our podcast.
That's way too long. But I mean, what an amazing night to come back, right? Like, this is the biggest night every 2 years. It only happens every 2 years, so I think we chose the right night for this.
It's terribly exciting because there's already so much that's been announced. There's so much speculation. This year is the fleshing out of the previous D23, which was, a phenomenal D23 as they went, and this looks as though it's set to take the bar to another level. And I know you're staying up tonight to watch it. I will be in my bed, so tomorrow we'll find out if you're right or wrong.
Well, thankfully, Disney, someone thought about stuff at Disney, and this time around it'll be streaming on Disney Plus, which is amazing because last time it was like a guy with 100 subscribers on YouTube just recording the thing, and he got like 50,000 people watching his stream, and it was the only thing. If that went down, we would know nothing of what was happening inside the Honda Center. But this time around, it looks like Disney is actually doing things as they should have been doing for a long time. So, yes, I'll be staying up and watching it at 3 a.m. here in Lisbon. I'm hoping people will join me in all over the world, from Belgium, Brazil, just watching and sharing our feelings of as the announcements come and go. Announcements.
I thought you meant you were hoping they were all going to come and join you in Lisbon, and it's a bit late for that now.
No, that's no need to come to Lisbon. Just here in the Disneyverse, that's more than fine, and more than enough.
What are you most excited about tonight? What is the thing that you are over the moon thinking this is going to be the big announcement that's going to make it for me?
Well, over the moon, I think that gives us an idea of what of what it could possibly be. Well, it's no secret that I would adore to see Space Mountain in Disneyland Paris get a major refurbishment, bringing back the moon. A lot of stuff in motion. It's been in motion like since 2020, according to some rumors. I'm really, really hoping and crossing my fingers this time it actually happens. But I would say that's the announcement I would probably be most excited about. But there's a lot of stuff that I really want to see more about. We've got villains, we've got Avengers Infinity Defense. There's truly so many projects already announced that I hope we'll get some updates on and new information. And there, of course, we've got surprises and stuff that we don't know yet. But I don't know. We'll see. What are you most excited about? Let me ask you that question.
This is quite interesting. The odd thing I'm most excited about actually isn't in Paris. It's actually Villains Land. I actually think that's the one that I think that it's a first for Disney, and it's a different direction to be heading in. And I think they've obviously been dragged there after Epic Universe done Monsters. And I just think it's going to be terribly exciting to see Disney go in a different and darker direction.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's been something people have been wanting for so many years. It was kind of crazy. Like, it was the big announcement, like the biggest announcement from last D23, and I'm super excited to see what they come up with. I really want to see them going to the darker elements of Disney villains, and it's always been a part of Disney movies, like from the first. So I'm very excited to see how they translate that into a theme park. Because as you said, it's like the first time we're seeing that happen.
And we have almost nothing to go on. This is one of the interesting things. We have an awful lot of information about everything else, but we have absolutely, other than some concept art, we don't know much about Villains Land. And I think that's probably the most exciting bit. They have the most to reveal. They've obviously gone out their way to kind of conceal that more. And it's whether or not they're going to go soft, and it's going to be just meet and greet heavy, or if they're going to go dark, and they're going to have, all the rides being genuinely on the scarier side. Obviously, it's Disney, so there's a cap to where they're going to go with that. But are they going to go dark in the sense of, the Twilight Zone, Tower of Terror sort of dark, or are they going to stick to kind of Boo to You Halloween Parade dark?
Yeah. Well, I'm really hoping they go into like the darker side. And I think they might, The funny thing about Villains Land is that you've got to consider that a lot of the promotional artwork and stuff we've seen places it in the middle of the night, right? But Florida is incredibly sunny, and there's a lot of light during the day, so it's fun. It'll be fun to see how they make the land work during the day, because during the night it's a lot easier. They control all the elements, right? So during the day it's going to be, it's I don't know how they're going to pull it off, but we've seen some in the Imagineering Pavilion, which was previewed the day before yesterday, so Thursday, and yesterday people went there, and it's like the largest pavilion for park stuff so far in D23. They showcased, the only thing they showcased from Villains Land were 2 tree models, and they went really into those like Snow White Scary Adventures trees with the faces and stuff, like all twisted. So I think it's gonna be incredible, and if they really go into the darkness of the material, it's gonna be it has a potential to be one of the best lands in Disney World. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what they cook with Villains.
Yeah, now, we're obviously very excited about the parks, and obviously that is tonight's main attraction. But D23 has been going on already, and we've already had some content come in, and we should probably touch on that just while we're here. I know everybody's a parks fan, and I would love to see everybody's comments on what they're excited about and what they'd love to see us talking about tonight on the podcast in the chat, because obviously it's an interactive podcast, so you're more than welcome to join us live. We've had quite a bit already. Obviously, Frozen 3 was probably the tentpole kind of announcement for animation, and that is kind of interesting, because you're in a Disney bubble, and you hear a lot of news. Not my Twitter's obviously rammed full of Disney, and I'm sure yours is too. But it's interesting to see the rest of the world picked up on Frozen 3, and that was the big piece of information that that leaked out. And I think Coco 2 was probably the other thing that went on. So you can see that under Josh, we're certainly doubling down on the big hits of Disney, and we're bringing them back. Like we're not swinging for new things. We are going for the tentpole releases, and we are going to throw them out there again. We've got Incredibles 3 following that up as well. So what did you think about that? What did you think about the Pixar sort of release strategy?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've seen two original movies also in the middle. Of course, those don't make like the headlines, right? People know already. Yeah, exactly. Like people love the characters they already know, and they want to see more of them. So those are always the biggest announcements. And Disney always invests more into those big projects because they know they'll bring money back, right? Like the return on investment is much better than in original content. But I thought that the animation, both Disney animation, because they've also announced Zootopia 3 yesterday, which Zootopia 3 was the biggest Disney animated release of all time. It was almost $2 billion in the worldwide box office, I think. So that's a lot of money, right? But yeah, it comes down really, I think, to a balance. There needs to be a balance between original movies and those big heavy hitters IPs, because you need new IPs to then have new big heavy hitter films, right?
You have the problem that eventually you're gonna, although I think the new Toy Story I'm not gonna lie, when I heard there was a new Toy Story, I was kind of upset, because I was kind of like, I think Toy Story's kind of like, we need to stop flogging this dead horse. But actually, the whole story of toys versus tech, I think, was a really, really good topic to go for, and I think that it was delivered very well. And I think that Disney, they were right to do another Toy Story film there.
Yeah, I love the film.
I'm not so sure I'm not entirely sure that the live action movies, because we're getting more live action movies, none of them seem to do very well. But we seem
Yeah,
committed
Moana.
to
Moana wasn't, it didn't really work. They spent way too much money on Moana, and it's probably going to end up as a bit of a flop in the box office. But then again, we've got the first look into Tangled, like the live action, and it took the internet by storm with the casting of Mother Gothel and stuff. People seem to. It's like it's very. I was thinking about this today. It's very strange because it's very much a hit or completely miss, like situation with Disney live action movies, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got some of them that like huge successes, and like The Lion King, the 2019 version, one of the biggest films ever. And then you've got like Snow White or Moana, and it doesn't come to like, it's not because one changed the movie and one did not, because Moana is a shot-by-shot remake of the film, of the animated film, but then Snow White isn't. So like, it's very hard to understand what works and what doesn't. So I guess they'll try to keep doing once, like, I don't know, every once in a while, but I think they won't like do as many as they would have hoped a couple of years ago. But yeah, I guess we'll see. I really don't know.
I sometimes wonder if it's not just for the copyright angle that they want to make sure that they've nailed down the live action. Now we also have other news. We've got the Bluey movie is coming. We've got the Bluey movie. We've got Ice Age Boiling Point. We've got and The Simpsons, which is kind of interesting because none. I mean, they are all Disney titles now, but they were not Disney titles originally. So we're in a situation now where Disney are attacking with all these new properties and attacking with all these new ideas that weren't historically theirs.
Yeah, absolutely. Ice Age, The Simpsons, all of these movies weren't theirs, right? I mean, they bought Fox for 90 billion something for a reason, right? So they must get some money back. But yeah, no, it's very interesting because Blue Sky, the studio that made Ice Age, they shut it down like some years ago. So now it's being made by Disney Animation Studios, I guess. I'm not sure. Like, I think they've hired a lot of the original talent back, though. I think I was reading that this morning that it's not interesting.
That it's not entirely new.
Yeah, but they're working under Disney Animation, right? I guess, like Blue Sky, just a name, but not a company. I really have no idea. It's very interesting to think about. And yeah, I mean, we'll see how that works. I think Ice Age has a lot of potential for theme park applications also. Simpsons it's a bit of a stranger IP because obviously Universal has the right so far, and I don't think Simpsons works as well in Disney parks compared to Universal. I don't know. But Ice Age, I think
we don't really have it in the parks yet. Not to any real degree.
No, we don't. Like nothing. I don't know. I think we have nothing on Simpsons. But yeah. Interesting things.
We've also got probably more, back to heritage. So I think we can see, from Disney, we've got new IPs coming. We have old IPs getting rebooted, or not rebooted, but brought back to the front. We have the tent poles from everything they've bought. So certainly their acquisitions are working. And then what we've got is them going into their heritage and they're doing Oswald. So we're getting Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, which is, a live action hybrid animation.
I love the teaser they pull out. It's a 3-episode miniseries releasing on Disney Plus. And I think it looks so cute. I love Oswald. He's my profile picture on Disney Plus. So yeah, I think it's super interesting seeing them bring back that character, which was a huge talking point in the history of the company, because the Disney Walt lost the rights to Universal, and then they got it back in a trade. It has a super interesting history.
Did you see what happened today from Universal?
Maybe. What happened?
Well,
What happened
on Disney
today?
Plus, we now have Back to the Future, Jurassic Park. We've got there's like a whole host of Universal IPs, not like back catalogs. There's always kind of been back catalog stuff that's gone between them, but you know, Back to the Future is like a tentpole of the Universal and Comcast sort of system. It's really,
Jurassic. Yeah.
It was incredible to see that they've come to a licensing agreement for the biggest properties that Comcast own to be on Disney Plus.
Yeah. No, it's super interesting. It really comes to show just how big Disney Plus can get. I've had this discussion with a couple of people about the name Disney Plus possibly not being the best name for the service, because now you've got Disney Plus, and here in Europe you've got Disney Plus and Hulu. So Hulu is a part of Disney Plus, and Hulu has a lot of non-Disney stuff, or non-Disney compatible stuff, as I should say. So I watched the entirety of The Walking Dead in Disney Plus. I've watched so many series that I wouldn't think the Disney brand would ever put under their umbrella.
They had 50 Shades of Grey on Disney Plus.
Yeah, exactly. So it really comes to show just maybe in the short term, Disney Plus was the best name to attract people, but maybe, long term, is it actually the best? I don't know. With Hulu, possibly they're gonna make one's Hulu, one's Disney Plus, and they just work together. But yeah, it's super interesting to see them license those huge films from Universal. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, on top of that, we've got other news as well. So in the Marvel sort of thing, we've got Avengers Doomsday, which we knew about. Doomsday wasn't unknown about, but was certainly, we got to see a bit more. We got Vision Quest, which was confirmed, which is, it's not a trilogy, but it's kind of part of WandaVision and Agatha all along, and then it wraps into Vision Quest. So we've got that coming, and then certainly we have the new X-Men, which is,
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of Marvel, I think like most people, incredibly surprised by the huge success that Spider-Man Brand New Day is being. Like, it might actually end in like the top 3 biggest movies of all time in the box office. That's amazing, and I was absolutely not expecting. But I just want to say that because it comes to show that a lot of people thought Marvel was dead and stuff, and superhero fatigue and whatever. But I think Doom will be a huge release for Disney and for Marvel. I think
Marvel's in that awkward bit where it's kind of, I think an awful lot of people, it took so long to build up to Endgame that a good number of people watched Endgame, and then I don't know if I can speak for everyone, but I feel as though there was a fatigue that kind of said, this far and no more. I don't really care what happens now. Like I've seen the end. This is enough.
Yeah, for me, so I'm a huge Marvel fan. I think I've watched every Marvel Studios project, but to me, what it felt like was after Endgame, they had no plan, and they just kind of expanded the universe without like a master plan, which was what made Marvel and the MCU work. Was like all the projects were intertwined.
I think the Loki series was quite good. I think that managed to escape the.
They did some amazing projects. I'm not saying that it didn't feel connected together, right? Like, and then they had the whole Kang problem, the next big villain, and the actor, of course, Jonathan Majors, then was convicted of. I don't want to say what it was because I'm not sure, but it was convicted, and so they had to scrap that whole plot line. But now it feels to me like they're on the right track again. It began with Thunderbolts. I loved Thunderbolts, and then Fantastic Four, possibly one of my favorite. Possibly my favorite film from Marvel after Endgame. I don't know. I
Fantastic
love that
Four, we
film.
got it right on the fourth attempt.
I loved it. I truly did. But yeah, and now the Spider-Man, obviously amazing film also, and now we're going full into Doom, and the marketing around Doom it's gonna be like, I think, one of the biggest marketing campaigns around the film ever, possibly. But yeah, I'm very excited to see how that works.
I wonder if they'll push it as like a Disney. What is it in Disney Infinity Vision or something?
Infinity Vision. Yeah. Well, it's already begun. It's already begun.
Well, I remember that people were. I mean, I have great thoughts and feelings. I've not seen the Odyssey for what it's worth, but I always think that the whole, it's an IMAX. If you don't see an IMAX, you basically haven't seen the film thing. Is a really silly way to make a film, because even if you get, you do the biggest 70mm film version of it right now, and everybody thinks it's amazing. The problem you've got is the vast majority of people who watch a movie, and this is true for almost all movies, watch it in their house, and nobody has an IMAX screen in their house. So if you tailor your movie to be for the IMAX, specifically the 70mm, there's only 12 of them in the world, sort of style auditoriums that are actually, of any significant size that is going to be worth it. The great problem you've got is for 99% of people who watch your movie past that, they effectively get an inferior product. And I really... I can't help but think this is just an absolute gimmick by IMAX to be like, this is the greatest way to experience cinema. And
I wouldn't say it's a gimmick, because it's a fact. It is the best way to watch that movie, right?
Well, it isn't. But it is. It's the best way to watch that movie. It's not the best way to watch. I mean, if you hadn't filmed it in that manner, it doesn't make it the. It doesn't make it the best way to watch any movie. It just happens to be that we've intentionally made sure that if you look at it through anything else, it sucks. It's kind of like watching a movie, on your phone. You could watch it in portrait if you really wanted, but it's going to suck compared to just turning your phone on the side and watching the landscape. Like, it is literally that version of, we have calibrated this movie to be viewed in a very particular way that, by the way, once we get post-release, unless you're really lucky and there's enough re-releases of this, which there might be, you never know, because it's, they've touted it as the 70mm film, you effectively are going to get the crap version of this. So, I mean, Chris Nolan, we've gone through this before. There's other directors do this. Michael Bay does this. He once said that the only way to watch the Transformers movies was in 3D as well. And, that probably wasn't true.
Even Denis Villeneuve with Dune, there's a whole thing, because Dune was released in IMAX. It was filmed for the IMAX format. But then, it wasn't released as such for Blu-ray or streaming. So you basically have like a lesser version available everywhere. Even if you want to pay, you can't, right? And that's something that actually Disney has done well with Marvel. You've got on Disney Plus the IMAX enhanced versions of a lot of movies with the IMAX format. So. Yeah, I think that definitely alleviates a bit the problem, I guess.
I remember there was another movie. Now, somebody will have to correct me. Catology probably knows this off by heart. Was it? There was something about a hotel. Was it the Marigold Hotel or something? It had the changing perspectives. Like, you had to change the scope or the whatever while it was in the movie, and it happened like 2 or 3 times in the movie. And most cinema projectionists, set it and forget it, sort of thing. So it basically meant that most people who viewed that film, I'll need to look up what the film was, but it basically just changed scope halfway through the film, and it basically ruined it for everybody watching it. And it was just one of these things that the director's like, this was intended to be viewed like this, then it will change to fill up this, then it will change to fill up this. And it was kind of like, and then it was kind of like, for most people, it just meant the film was ruined. So you know this. I remember this being a thing, and I remember people complaining about it quite viscerally, and they were like, "Oh, it looked terrible," but it didn't look terrible. It was just, this was a thing. I remember some directors were like, "Oh, you need to have it." Now, there's one that's called scope, and there's one that's called something else, and basically you can set your cinema lens so it's either wide or fat. And most cinemas just left it as the same thing for most movies, and this used to cause great outrage. I believe with digital projection, the projector now does it, so I don't think you can actually break it up. But this used to be a real thing where projectionists would just be like, "Nah, I'm not touching it. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to realign it." And then all of a sudden, all you had was these terrible movies getting played all the time. And I worry that the Odyssey has effectively went. Do you know what? Everybody's forgot why we went to digital cinema, and it's not because 70mm presented in its best format isn't possibly the absolute apex of film. It probably is. The problem you've got, though, is your average cinema is run by teenagers who cannot be bothered to, change settings or anything, and they run it with the minimal effort possible on, as little resources the cinemas put into it as possible. And you end up just getting the worst version at all times. And I think that's probably what digital cinema brought us, was a higher quality on average, but a lower quality versus the peak. And I think that's probably where we've ended up.
Yeah. I mean, we have no IMAX 40mm here in Portugal. So I went to a IMAX. That's the best we could do. But to this day, all the three IMAXs we have in Portugal, they're still sold out. All the, you cannot book unless it's like 5 days ahead. You cannot book
seats, though.
They're large. These ones are.
But what I mean is, if I look at my local multiplex, it's got 10 screens. One is IMAX. The other 9 are effectively doing nothing all day. So, whereas if Disney was to drop Endgame, all 10 would be showing Endgame.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, let's circling back to the
spirit of Disney brings
whatever
here,
Disney.
You can't book
whatever
the
Disney
BFI IMAX through September.
Yeah.
Which is true.
I went to BFI IMAX.
But that's true most of the time, by the way. Just to clarify, that's not new. The BFI IMAX, just because it's the largest cinema in the UK, is always fully booked for almost 3 weeks.
Yeah,
just as
it is an incredible experience.
Anyway, back to the fun. We've got 2 other huge announcements. Star Wars Starfighter, which we don't know a huge amount about, but Star Wars is obviously getting a quick reboot and kicked back out there, because once you bought that property for $4 billion, it better start paying itself off again. And the Kingdom of Hearts.
And also before Kingdom of Hearts, next year Star Wars turns 50, and they're going to bring back the original movie, like the one that George Lucas said no one is ever going to watch again because of the changes he did, and re-released them. So that one, like the original version that played in theaters in 1977, I guess, like when it was released, the first episode, that's coming back to cinemas, which is, I think, very exciting. But yeah, so yeah, we can go to Kingdom of Hearts. I've never played. I don't understand all the hype around it, so please lead the way.
To be totally honest, it is one of these things that exists largely within a subset of a community. So it is largely within is within a community of gamers who think this was the greatest thing since sliced bread. In fact, there's a whole other set of people. The Epic Mickey people are often the same people, for what it's worth. Mm-hmm. I don't know why there's such a crossover, but
I did play that one. I did play that one when I was much younger, but yeah, I have never played Kingdom. Is it Kingdom Hearts? Kingdom.
Yes.
What's the name? Kingdom Hearts. Okay.
Yes. And
what were the news? Yeah.
It basically is we're getting an anime series off it now, which is kind of what the source material should have been for the actual game.
Oh,
and effectively,
it's going to be a series.
Yeah.
For Disney Plus.
For Disney Plus. So
interesting. I have no idea. I've never followed the game, or I know it existed, and I know there's a lot of people like that really
well,
loved it.
this is where I'm going to try and keep the podcast on track, because, you know, again, people in the chat are saying, "Can we please go through the full lore?" No, because that would be a podcast in itself. It would be a bit like I'm trying.
And
To
I
think,
have no idea if anything.
Have you watched? Yeah, have you watched any anime?
I've never been
No.
a fan.
Have
No,
you ever watched Dragon Ball Z, or do you know anything about Dragon Ball Z?
I know it exists, and that's mostly it.
Let me put it like this: Dragon Ball Z has about 12 different versions of the same show, and effectively they decided that the original Japanese dub was far too long, so then the sub. So the sub is where they just put subtitles up and they talk Japanese, and then they redone it and they put English voice actors to it, and it still was far too long, never made any sense. So they then done it again, and they created a whole new version called Dragon Ball Z Kai, which is effectively where they cut out all the nonsense and just skip through the story as quickly as possible. Now, that's not the same for Kingdom Hearts, but it is interesting in the sense that the lore in there is enough to keep you engrossed for several weeks and requires about 3 different books, reading online and playing the game and discussing it endlessly and falling out with people on many forums before coming to the conclusion that it was the greatest game of all time. But that, you know,
I got it.
It has large crossovers.
I mean, it sounds interesting. I'll give you that. But
it is. People who like Xenoblade Chronicles is probably a new game that's kind of similar to it. People really liked Epic Mickey that are in the same community as well. So I mean, it's a huge thing, and it's something that I think Disney will push hard on, and I would think we're going to see it move into Lorcana as well. And I'm convinced we're going to see a crossover there, just because it lends itself quite neatly. Before we jump on, because I want to cover Lorcana as well, it's probably just worth noting that Disney's answer to Harry Potter got kicked back on the screen, which I didn't think was going to happen, but we're going to get Percy Jackson season 3.
Okay. Yeah.
I personally quite like the Percy Jackson series, but
I've watched the original movies a long time ago. I haven't watched the series. I've seen some clips and stuff, but like the consensus seems to be that it's very nice adaptation, right?
It's not Harry Potter level, let me give it that, but it's fun.
Well, I mean, of course, but okay, got it. No, that's so season 3 is coming soon, I guess, right?
I mean, J.K. Rowling, when she wrote Harry Potter, had sort of free license to write pretty much whatever she wanted, and pretty much did. I mean, she wrote herself into several corners and then just explained it away with magic. Percy Jackson has the problem that it's rooted in ancient Greece and stuff, and it's, it actually has some lore that it has to stay loyal to. You can't, everybody's kind of got a power level and everybody's kind of got their own segment there, and we're not going to, you can't just retcon all ancient history.
Ancient Greek mythology,
yeah. And before we move on to parks, because that's probably going to take up the whale of our time, the second last thing I wanted to talk about was Lorcana, which is currently going through. Lorcana has finally arrived. So in Disney for years have had different ways for you to collect in the parks, and that started off, you'd go to the parks and initially it was souvenirs. And they would be like, they'd try and sell you some statue or a t-shirt or a balloon. And then Disney decided, we need some sort of official collections. And they've tried to do it successfully and unsuccessfully. So an example of a very successful one is Disney pin trading. Disney pin trading is, it's effectively like modernized stamp and coin collecting for Disney fans who can go in and they can collect, there's hundreds of unique and specific pins. They're forever coming out. I mean, nobody has a full collection because quite literally they drop pins every single day. Pin collecting is wildly popular. It's cross-cultural. It happens in every single park, every single cruise ship, every single hotel. It's a fantastic exercise. I have a Disney pin collection. Mine is absolutely nothing like the pin collection of some of the members of this Discord who have fantastic collections.
Which are incredible collections, and I'm always amazed.
Mine are like Halloween 2023.
I know. I choose my pins like I love attraction pins. So most of
Yeah.
them are park related. I don't really care about character pins and stuff like that. So
I like
parks
to
related
grab
pins I
one
like
from a
most.
hotel I stay in. I'm like, oh, I've stayed in the
Yeah,
Sequoia
yeah, yeah,
Lodge.
yeah.
I'll get yeah, that's
Those are the
but
kinds of pins that I like
yeah, there's.
personally.
I mean, they would judge us. They would judge us terribly for this. I need you to know that they would look at us. But I'm laughing at the comments. I was prepared to hear Graham judge pin collectors. I actually really like pin collectors, and I think that pin collecting is a really fun thing that's cross-cultural, and it certainly appeals to young people and old people, and it's something you can do whether or not you're 2 or 102. And I think it's something that Disney has that's kind of magical in a way that's just worked really well. And I think it certainly caters to everyone who has either a huge budget for pin collecting or a tiny budget for pin collecting. You certainly, I think that works. What I don't like about pin collecting, and I think it's almost unique to Disneyland Paris, because I've never seen it. I didn't see it in California, but I've been told it happens there. And it certainly doesn't happen in Walt Disney World, but then it's mostly tourists, I guess, in Walt Disney World. And that is that sometimes you can get some really overly aggressive people standing with their folders. And it's sort of like advertised for pin trading, but it's more a sort of, you've got to be a professional pin trader before you're going there. Like, you need to understand what you're doing.
I'm
Can anybody else hear Bernardo? He's gone to the robot voice for me. We'll need to wait for Bernardo to come back, but I think it's one of the wonderful things that Disney do, and they do it incredibly well. And we've been lucky to see that. Where they've missed, there have been some serious misses. So we've had, for example, Vinylmation. Vinylmation I loved, and they were tiny little statues. You could get them at, I think one was like 1 inch tall, and then there was like 3 inch tall Vinylmations, and they were my favourite collections. And they were effectively just Mickey Mouse who had been painted in different styles. So you got like Space Mountain Mickey Mouse, and then you got Pirates of the Caribbean Mickey Mouse, and then you got some Mickey Mouses that were the flag of America. And I really liked Vinylmation. But Vinylmation has died a death and no longer exists. It still kind of exists because they release occasional Vinylmation, but I don't think they call it Vinylmation, but it is Vinylmation. And that just didn't. Vinylmation was effectively Funko Pops before Funko Pops existed.
Yeah.
And obviously Funko is huge.
Funko is very big, but I've read it's been like not doing so well lately. They've got a lot of stock and they're not selling that much. So I wonder if
is that not because it became like one of the problems with Funko is it used to be kind of like synonymous where you could just go and pick one up, but now they've gone from being, I think I could be wrong, but I recall Funko released at $5.99. So it was $5.99 for a Funko, and I think now for some Funkos you're talking I think they're about $45.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean that would explain it. Yeah.
It's not a toy. It's not quite a statue. It's
it just sits there and exists, right? So it's like there's a limit to how much money you can ask for something.
We've
like
obviously
that.
just annoyed every Funko collector on the planet with that. So, not that there's many of them apparently. So Vinylmation was Funko before Funko was Funko, effectively, just a different style. I really liked Vinylmation, and I felt that they needed a better one. So Lorcana. What is Lorcana? Lorcana is a trading card game. So you'll have seen the Pokemon trading card game, and you'll have seen, other card games. You'll have seen, and Disney didn't actually do this themselves. Lorcana was Ravensburger who licensed the Disney property and says, could we make a card game with this? And at first Disney paid absolutely no attention to it, and we're just kind of like, yeah, bash on, like it be licensed to lots of people. You make previously Ravensburger made some graphic coloring books, they made sticker books, they made puzzles, they made jigsaws, they made games that you'd maybe play at Christmas, like Disney chess and Disney snakes and ladders, or Goofies and Plutos or something. And they done that, and then they said, can we make a card game? And they were like, yeah, you can make a card game. So they made a trading card game, and Lorcana was it was reasonably popular, but it wasn't overly popular. It was certainly nothing to do, like, it was nothing on the level like Pokemon or anything. However,
when was it originally released? like that
Oh, but
version?
it's only about 3-4 years old. Lorcana's not.
Oh, okay, okay. No, no. I was thinking if it's older than that because I wouldn't have known. But no, okay, I got it.
No,
Because
no.
I followed it since its development. I've never been a big collector of Pokemon and stuff like that, like card games. But I followed it since it basically came out, and I remember thinking like, from my perspective, that was going nowhere. But nowadays, it's, and I'm sure you'll get there. It's huge.
So they changed it a little bit. Set 9 was one called Fabled. And they've always had expensive cards. It's not they don't. Through the rarity of cards, there's certain cards that are, you're only getting it 1 in 1,000 packs or something. So they're always somewhat rare. And they've always had them. But Fabled was where it really took off. And Fabled is where you started getting £6,000 cards. And people were like, wow, this is exciting.
Oh,
So
wow.
you dipped out of just like the Disney people into the real collector people, the sports card collector people who don't collect sports cards for sports cards, but rather, well, if I can drop some money, I can maybe get a $6,000 card here. And if I end up for grading, it can be,
So it's gambling, right? Basically.
it is gambling. And so it hit its stride around set 9, and then set 10, I think there was high expectations and it kind of flopped a little bit. But then it got to 11, and that's where Disney, I think, took the reins off a bit. So up until then, they were kind of limited in the styles they could do. They were kind of limited in the, you could do the characters, and you could, like Winter Spell, everybody was just the same characters, but there was snow. And the imagery was just the characters in snow, and there wasn't much to it. However, they then sort of took that off, and Wilds Unknown was taking the characters out of their current setup. So you got kind of like Woody and Buzz Lightyear, and you were allowed to put them in a jungle sort of thing. And this, it was taking them out of their original one, and they got the license a bit more expanded. And then you've got the current set, which is Attack of the Vine, and that's where, again, the characters have been possessed by these evil roots of evil, and then they don't battle. Disney don't call it a battle or anything, but they sort of duel, and it's two stories competing against each other. I mean, there's no death. Nobody gets beat. It's true, by the way. There's no attacks. Like in Lorcana, it's all about ink. You add ink to your inkwell, and then you use lore
okay.
to tell the
I had
story.
no idea.
So it's very Disneyfied. It's very nice. There's no, you don't kill the other character. You defeat its lore, or you drain its ink, or something like that. But it's become very, very popular. It is currently sold out. So this is an interesting thing. It is basically sold out. You will not find Lorcana at retail in a shop right now because it has all been bought up and is gone. Now, you may think, oh, that's fine. That happens. However, this hasn't happened in Disney Lorcana since it happened once in Fabled, but then didn't happen again. And it's now sold out, and the next set isn't due until October. So,
wow! And there was a huge release at Disneyland Paris, which I think was the only one in Europe. I think.
Well, that was only 6 cards. 6 cards for 99.
Yeah, but it was crazy.
Euros.
Like people were standing in outside like since the day before and stuff. Like it was released in the.
I don't know if a lot of people collect Lorcana
in Disney Village. Yeah, of course, but like, there's a craziness around the whole thing, right? It's got to a point that it's truly big.
Well, it's now at D23. It's always been at D23, but it's never had its own panel. It's never had its own, look, you're going live on Disney Plus. Like, you're going live on Twitch. Like, so the Ravensburger team have obviously been drafted in, and I wonder what happens now. They've announced some huge changes to Lorcana. If you haven't caught it, they're releasing a new, more expensive product called a collector booster, which gives you effectively shinier versions of the cards, which most people won't care about, but then it introduces these new serialized cards. So worldwide, there'll be 6 different cards, so 6 different characters, and there'll only be 23 of each worldwide. So they're very, very, very hard. And you will know because it'll say like you've got card 2 out of 23 or 7 out of 23. So it's going to be, but you're talking to buy a collector booster. The nearest thing to this is a game called Magic the Gathering. And they have, a collector booster. There's £50 or €50 for one pack of 12 cards. I think it's 12, maybe 16 cards, something like that. But anyway, they're introducing this into Disney, and it's going to be expensive. It's the first time I've thought Lorcana is here to stay. Like, it's now made its mark, like pin trading. It's now they've announced it's going to be fully integrated into the parks. It's going to be there for, if you're doing Halloween season, there's going to be a Lorcana card tied to Halloween season. The only way you can get it is by visiting during Halloween season. The cruise line's going to have bespoke cards. It already kind of did occasionally as tests, but now, you're going to have to cruise if you want the cruise specific Lorcana cards. And they've really...
Yeah. So it's going to be like much more exclusive to actually get some of the cards, right?
Well, put it this way, it comes up for renegotiation in 2 years for whether it comes up in year 5, whether or not Ravensburger are allowed to keep the license or not. And I imagine that at that point, it's almost dead certainty, because they have cracked it to the point that there must be conversations going on really high up in Disney just now that says, we cannot have a situation where people want to spend money on a Disney property and they cannot for 2 months. Like, that is not acceptable. Like, get more cards on the market. Like, we need this. So you were talking about the craziness in Disneyland Paris, and effectively, if you had gone and bought that box for €99, you could immediately sell it online for about €340. So this is now, not that people should do that, because it's scummy behaviour to take something away from people who want to collect it and play with it to effectively just profit yourself. However, that is exactly what has happened. And Lorcana has punched into the real Disney. Like, they are now getting integrated into cruise lines, they're getting integrated into TV shows, they're getting integrated into, you have to visit the parks. There's going to be hotel specific Lorcana, there's going to be event specific Lorcana. This has become a real thing. Like the pins, like you go to not Halloween Horror Nights, Mickey's Not Scary Halloween Party, there's a pin set. There's now going to be a Lorcana set. So they've punched in. They've done what they need to do to become a staple, and Lorcana's going to... I mean, one thing I would say is I think Disney will print a lot more Lorcana, because there's no way they're going to... Like the pin...
Yeah, it's here to stay, basically, right? That's what you're saying.
Well, there's no way that you walk into Disney and you don't see a rack full of pins.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, that probably wraps up the kind of collectibles, and I think it's incredible to see. And I like Lorcana. I have a Lorcana collection, and I think I don't have a complete Lorcana collection or anything, because it would be prohibitively expensive. I think it's, if you wanted now to buy one of every card, bearing in mind this is only a 3-year-old card game, you would need to spend about 49,000 British pounds.
Oh wow! Yeah, that ain't happening.
Yeah, to own one every card that exists just now. Club 33 have dedicated Lorcana cards right now.
They have? No way, really? Wow.
Yes, there's a Club 33 exclusive set and everything. So, I mean, when I say that Lorcana has gone from just being another product on the shelf, it probably now is a daily meeting with Josh Damaro to be like, how do we sell more? Because these cost literal pennies and cents to print. But we can sell them for, 1,000 times. How do we get out there? And I mean, the funny thing is, it's just, it's just the characters they already have. It's not new. It's quite literally like Mickey has been I don't think actually he has been attacked by the Vine. I think he's on the good side. But, like Belle out of Beauty and the Beast has been attacked by the Vine. She has become evil. It's just an evil version of her. It's stuff they already had. And it's so much fun. And that is going to be a huge thing going forward. And I'm really excited now that Disney will be taking it seriously to see where it goes. And that probably takes us on to let's do parks.
Yeah, so we've spent like an hour already, almost, and we can finally begin the parks talk. Shall we? Start then?
So where do you want to start? Where in the world do you want to start?
That's the thing. I don't know. I think we can start by saying simply that I personally believe a lot of what we're going to be seeing today or tonight is going to be related to projects already announced. So there's going to be a lot of updates, a lot of new information regarding projects. We've already covered a bit of this at the start of the podcast, I think. But I think we can really dig into a few of the projects that I think are going to be central for this. We have villains, we have Cars. We have Avatar. Maybe not Avatar and DCA so much. I think it's going to take a couple of years before we get that actually running. But maybe Infinity Defense and the Avengers expansion. And then we've got some projects that we don't really know a lot about. Like, what about Abu Dhabi? That thing is supposedly still on track. It's still happening.
It has to now. I mean, the Middle East has been busy bombing, back and forward for the last 6 months to a year.
Absolutely.
And the only way you're going to...
I'm sure that's been... Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say a Disneyland opening in Abu Dhabi and certainly in the Middle East is going to give that confidence that, not right now, but is going to give that confidence in time that, by the way, we've come out of conflict and there's a new big shiny thing you should come and see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if it's to open in 2031, which was the rumored speculative opening date, I mean, hopefully the conflict will be done by then, right? So I think personally, and we saw that I think the CEO of the Mural company, which will be developing and operating the park and the resort, which already owns Yas Island, I think is in Anaheim. So there was some photo of him. So yeah, I mean, the likelihood of them speaking about Abu Dhabi, what we know about Abu Dhabi basically is there's going to be a theme park there, owned and operated by Mural, and then they gave us a concept art of some very blue sky Arabian park, I guess. So it'll be quite interesting to see if they touch that, because obviously it's a subject that, it's been on the news, not for the best reasons.
We got the news this week that effectively, there was the prevailing view it was all going to be indoors. However, we got the news this week that it's hybrid, and certainly you'll be outside watching.
Well, some people were absolutely convinced that it was going to be completely indoors. It was never going to be completely indoors. It makes no sense to build a Disney park completely indoors. And we have a lot of parks in Abu Dhabi and Dubai that are either like a mix or have very large outdoors areas, like Movie Gate. I think that's the name of the Kung Fu Panda and a lot of Universal owned properties. That already exists there, and it has big portions outdoors, right? And I think in the end, it can work. You just gotta look at it. Have you seen the new Six Flags park that opened in Saudi Arabia? It's completely outdoors. It's like a huge Six Flags park. It's only Six Flags like branded because the park has nothing to do with the Six Flags. It's much better, but it's completely outdoors, right?
Yeah.
So they can make it work. I'm sure they can make it work. I'm sure there'll be a lot of areas and rides that are indoors, but in the end, I cannot imagine a Disney park fully indoors. I just cannot. So, yep. I think we'll see something about that today. Yesterday we saw a lot of stuff in the Imagineering Pavilion. One thing I wasn't so much expecting was Tokyo. So Tokyo has a huge project currently happening with the Space Mountain complete redoing. So they demolished the Space Mountain that existed and they're building a brand new one in its place. And they have like a nice little display area with stuff. And I find it interesting because Tokyo usually does things its own way, kind of like what Paris used to do some years ago. Tokyo always releases like statements and stuff by the Oriental Land Company, and they do it very, very separately from the rest of the Disney company. So it's interesting to see the models, the Space Mountain models there. Another thing that surprised me was the lack of Shanghai Disneyland stuff. So Shanghai only has one project currently happening in the park. They've got two hotels also being built. But in the park, they've got Spider-Man, the Spider-Man coaster, and land, I guess. But there was only like a TV and some graffiti, and that was it. So one of the big possible announcements for today, I would imagine could be possibly, and not very likely, but possibly a second gate for Shanghai. So Shanghai has just turned 10, and it's probably the worst kept secret that they are working on a second gate. So yeah, I think we could possibly see some big news regarding 2 new Disney parks, one in Abu Dhabi and, well, one in Shanghai.
Also comes with the benefit that the Disney company don't pay for that. So
Yes, absolutely. They own 49.9% of Shanghai,
Yes.
but they pay very little for it. So it's
so you've
always
you've always
always
got the
a
benefit. If
good
you're
deal.
spending somebody else's money, it's quite easy to announce. If
absolutely.
we've also got, if we just round up the Asian parks, then while we're there, we're gonna have the Avengers drop tower at Hong Kong Disneyland.
Yeah. So
Which is-
yes,
I-
we
I'm-
first got the news.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm 100%
We first got the
convinced
news.
that's coming to Disneyland Paris as well, by the way.
No, it's really not. We'll get there, but let me just say like most of the projects, we
Maybe
first got the
not
news about the
now.
Avengers drop tower. I don't think it's coming. I really don't. Neither that or the Guardians of the Galaxy, whatever is the name, Mission Breakout. Neither of those is coming to Paris. They like Tower of Terror is the icon of the park. It's like they've got the problem with CBS and the Twilight Zone IP that they have to pay royalties. But they have to pay royalties. They pay the same royalties, as far as I know. They pay the same royalties with Hollywood Studios and Disney Adventure World. So even if they removed one of those, the royalties would still be the same. And I cannot see them removing Hollywood Studios' version.
I don't think the royalties are prohibitive because the Twilight Zone's not a huge property. It's not something that, is a... It was, but it's not
absolutely.
anymore.
But in the end, it's something that Disney pays that they could not be paying for, I guess.
It would cost hundreds of millions to retheme the ride.
No, absolutely. But then you can sell more
imagine the
merchandise and
royalties
Avengers stuff. And
yeah, I think it would come just simply because it fits very closely to that land. You could very easily just plop it in and it would work quite well, and it sits so awkwardly. I think in about 5-10 years that might be the play. I really, it depends. They might wait and find out how it goes down, because they've obviously already done it. They've obviously already done it in California, so they will know whether or not it was worth it. And I suppose, to your credit just now, they've obviously done it and decided that it wasn't worth immediately rolling out everywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that Hong Kong's is going to be a completely new attraction, right? It's obviously has the skeleton from Tower of Terror, from our Tower of Terror, so from Paris's Tower of Terror, with 3 shafts, 2 levels, and that will probably be the same because it works, right? It's got good capacity. It's proven to work very reliably. So then the outside is completely different, and honestly, I'm not 100% happy with how it looks, and I think I'm not 100% happy with how most Avengers stuff looks in the Disney parks. It's like a big gray box, basically.
Keep in mind, though, they enjoy. They absolutely prey on the fact that the Avengers is quite industrial looking anyway, and they prey on.
Yeah, but that's such an easy way to get out of actually building something interesting,
Well, these sound stages. Here is soundstage 5, where we don't need to decorate the building.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, it's just a way to cheapen out of actually doing something big and interesting. But in the end, to their credit, I think.
I tell you what, I'll give you a point that you're going to smirk about, like the Cheshire Cat here, but that was one of the things that Joe Road was always quite good at. Joe Road just refused to have, other than Hester and Chester's travelling fun fair, which I got, well, a lot of people don't get. It was supposed to look tacky. But Joe Road
Well, it was supposed to
never.
look tacky because they had no money to actually build something good, right?
But he effectively said, "I will not compromise. Like the buildings will either look right or they will not look right. We're not doing a cheap paint job that makes it look okay. We are doing this or we're not doing it." So I'll give him credit. He used to really put his foot down there. My usual argument still is there that he didn't necessarily need to go and measure the elephant's footprint with a team of 26 in Africa. He probably could have got away with just a fake elephant's footprint for the concrete footprints that are around,
But if you could like do a full trip with 20 colleagues to Africa in Disney, and Disney's paying for it, would you not? Like,
well, that's how you run out of money. It's why we never got the Beastly Kingdom, because he needed, we can't possibly just put any old tree here. I need to go and personally inspect the trees in Africa for 2 years. Or we can't put any old rhino dung there. We need to go and see what the rhino dung looks like. Like you can absolutely, I mean, there are levels to the immersion, and there's no doubt that Animal Kingdom is a beautiful, beautiful park. And you can tell that a lot of cohesive thinking was put into it. And he's probably, spitting at the fact that Tropical Americas is probably going to... In fact, the only thing that doesn't really fit in Animal Kingdom is, do you know the Nemo soundstage? You know where they do the Nemo show?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That blue building sticks out like a sore thumb. But
yeah, it absolutely does.
And if you're approaching from the car park, I can't believe they've never done anything. Like, I get that when you're in the car park, you're off stage, so it doesn't matter. But it's the only park I can think of that from the car park, it just generally looks terrible. Like you can see the back, you can see the backside of Expedition Everest, and you can see the backside of Pandora. And I've never worked
Pandora's
out
yeah.
I've never worked out, like, I get it, you're off stage, it doesn't have to be perfect. I get that. But I've never worked out how we can't do something in between.
Just gotta plant some tall trees and call it a day, I guess.
Just the bit I don't mind. See if you could see a building, a coloured building in the distance, and I think they're all kind of beige and cream. That's fine. But it's the fact you can see the structure that supports like the fake trees in Pandora, and it's the mountain.
Yeah.
Like I just think that's, surely we could have done something there that didn't look quite like. I've never understood why that is allowed to happen. Because
we have that. We now have that in Paris also, because if you ever go to the backside of Disney Adventure World, so like the town of Cerise, like if you go close to the berm, to the park, you can clearly see
that's
like
different from the actual
not scaffolding. Yeah, no, absolutely. But in the end, I guess it's so interesting because back in like 20 years ago, something like that, this wasn't a problem, right? They used to build the show buildings to fit the park. Look at Euro Disney. You can see the castle, you can see Big Thunder Mountain, you can see Space Mountain from a lot of all around the park, from the car park, from Disney Village, from and it looked good. Like it was, you seeing the spikes of Space Mountain or Big Thunder Mountain, it grows in excitement, right? So you can see, like, I'm going there and it's going to be incredible and stuff. So it's always interesting because nowadays they've changed the idea from let's theme the show building to let's hide the show building, and I guess it's just a different way of doing stuff.
Yeah, Disney Adventure World, you can now see the mountain on a stick as you're driving to the car park. I don't know. It just seems like they've really decided that you can suspend reality the minute you walk through the gates, but on your way to the gates, you're completely allowed to see all the, how the magic is ruined. I don't get it. I personally just think it wouldn't cost them that much to put up, even if it was just a blank bit of like, I don't know, some steel or some titanium sheeting or something, just to block it a little bit in the back so that you couldn't necessarily
I guess in a few years' time, the trees in the berm will be much larger and will hide it better. But still, it's like some thinking could go into like actually hiding it, I guess. But yeah.
Well, we have a lot more to talk about rather than how we
touched on Animal Kingdom, right? We touched on Animal Kingdom, so I guess we can start with the Tropical Americas. I adore the Tropical Americas project. I think it's something that Animal Kingdom really needed. Those two rides, two e-tickets being built or, renovated and rethemed there. They want to bring
R.I.P. Dinosaur, one of the greatest rides to ever exist.
Yeah, it's very sad. But Indiana Jones, right? I love Indiana Jones, so I'm not. And Dinosaur was very tacky. Let's just state the facts. It was very tacky.
I'm not commenting because I really like Dinosaur. How can you I need to ask this question. How can you defend Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, which is a bucket of bolts that is an absolute stain on the Disney properties worldwide? Like, I will fight everyone in the comments that Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is up there with the worst attraction in any Disney park. Meanwhile, while calling Dinosaur tacky.
It's two completely different things, right?
Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is literally a bucket of bolts on a flat ride that basically is glued together.
Let me defend myself and start by saying I've never been to Disneyland, so I've never ridden Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. And honestly, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, it serves a very different purpose. It's the classic Disney old Fantasyland rides, right? It's like Snow White's Scary Adventures. It's also very tacky and very old, and but it exists for a reason. It's a legacy attraction.
Make sure we get this and quote this. That quite literally he just called Mr. Toad's Wild Ride tacky as well. I want that. The Main Street News calls Mr. Toad. We'll see how much aggro you get on YouTube for it, because someone attacks me every time I say this. There's only like 100 people watch the podcast on YouTube, and somehow there's somebody who just joins the pod. They literally join in to find out where I'm sure they search it through the transcript just to fight with me about me calling it tacky. And it is.
Yeah, well, but okay, but let me kind of just go back and try to re-say what I said basically about Dinosaur, because Dinosaur, when it opened as Countdown for Extinction, I think that was the name, it was much better than whatever they did afterwards with the retheme into Dinosaur, which was just a way to cheaply connect it to the movie Dinosaur. So the main problem I had with Dinosaur wasn't the ride itself, it was just the way it was cheaply remade to work, because you've got like these incredible animatronics that look very realistic and stuff, and then you've got whatever that was, the main dinosaur from the ride. It's just, it didn't work for me personally. But with that said, I was very sad when Dinosaur closed. I enjoyed that ride very much, but I mean, stuff changes, right? And
I think it'll be quite good. I think Indiana Jones will be very good. The one in Disney's California, in Disneyland is very good in California. You've been caught in the comments. They're saying you're in damage control. You are absolutely. He knows that his YouTube videos are going to plummet after this. He's going to get called out, and they're coming for you now, Bernardo. The Mr. Toad.
What have I done? What have I done?
They'll all be coming to you. They're the same. I called it out earlier in the chat. I said these are all the people who go to Disneyland and like have to stay on site and have to have like the meal plan, Pro Plus, Extra Max, Super plan that basically makes sure that you shouldn't need to buy a bottle of water or a snack at all in the whole time you're there, because it should be included with a voucher. I really don't understand. They're like, oh, but I like knowing everything's included. I'm like, yeah, but you're paying about $7,000 extra to make sure you don't have to buy a simple, you don't have to buy a bottle of water. Like
it's the magic. It doesn't matter. It's the magic.
So Tropical Americas is going to be fantastic, and I think it's something.
No, but it looks great. So basically, all I want to say is that the Indiana Jones ride looks incredible. It really does. The facade's going to look incredible. The Encanto ride looks very interesting. We still don't know if it's a trackless ride. It's obviously not a boat ride, which is interesting because it was one of the possibilities.
That's how we know it's not coming to Disney's Adventure World. It's not a boat.
Yeah, it's not about it. No Disney Boat Adventure World, nothing on that. But the only thing I have against Tropical Americas seems to be the lack of like the animal exhibitions. They could easily have gotten some capybaras and just placed them there, I guess. But no, it
Come
doesn't
on,
look like that's
we're
happening.
getting Pooh and Eeyore. They count, and
Well,
the Encanto attraction literally has an animated capybara in it.
yeah, but I mean, of course, but the main point of Animal Kingdom
Oh,
is it's
you
like
want like a Kevin-sized capybara that comes to
I just
eat
wanted like
you.
a live live animals. It's part of Animal Kingdom, and I think it would really benefit the land. But honestly, it looks incredible. It really does, and it looks like it's going to keep that same level of detail as the rest of the park, which is
It
obviously
also
a plus.
addresses. There's a huge problem in Animal Kingdom, and I didn't really think about this until I became a dad. In fact, you'll all know this if you've been listening to the podcast for any time. You'll have gone through when I did not have a child, and when obviously me and my girlfriend. Well, I wasn't pregnant, but she was pregnant, and then we had a child, and now our child's 20 months old, so very close to 2 years old. One of the problems with Animal Kingdom is when you genuinely sit and you look at the layout of attractions and things. If you weren't into the Dino Discovery little thing, there wasn't a huge amount. I mean, it's not there's nothing for them to do, but there's not a huge amount of child friendly, especially for tiny little babies.
Yeah.
For the sort of 2 to 5 year olds, there's not a lot. Now, I appreciate that's just don't take your kid between 2 and 5. I get that. It's not the Magic Kingdom is perhaps overpowered with 2-year-old to 5-year-old attractions. So you've got an argument. You should just go somewhere else, and I fully appreciate that. And
No, I mean,
people roast you
each park,
if you mention
each
if you say this on a forum or anything. People are like, "That's not a park for you. You should go somewhere else." But Animal
yeah, that
Kingdom,
makes no sense.
unlike it, just didn't have that many things that you could realistically take a 2 or 3-year-old to. And it's something that obviously, as I'm currently looking to book holidays and trips with a 2-year-old, it's something that I consider. Like, for example, I've still not been to Epic Universe just because of when the child was born. I wasn't going to drag a child to 30-degree temperature in Orlando. But there's nothing at Epic Universe either. Epic Universe is genuinely like, it'll be quite difficult with a baby because sure, they have rider swap and stuff, but there's not a lot to enjoy in Epic Universe, and Universal in general is a lot poorer than Disney. But Animal Kingdom specifically didn't have that much that wasn't a show or a play park. And this is going to add a huge child-friendly element to the park.
Absolutely, and it's being done in a level that whatever was there before wasn't. So even the dinosaur, like the play area, was very well done. One of the best parts of Dinoland USA. But still, I think
in the comments here that Legoland almost exclusively targets that demographic, and that is very much true. They are definitely they know what they're doing. That they're multi-generational, like grab them while they're young.
Yeah, true. But one thing I really hope for Animal Kingdom, and this is, I think, important to talk about when it comes to, well, we're going to have a parks panel right now. So one of the things I really hope is for the park to stay open longer.
I think it will,
because
although it doesn't have. Have you ever been there when it's dark? It's beautiful in Avatar Land, but it's basically lethal everywhere else.
Yeah, but like Avatar was built with for being so it could be explored during the night. Like it's the whole thing about Avatar looks incredible at night, and then they close the park at 6, which makes no sense.
Yeah, but if you're across in Asia or Africa, you're tripping genuinely. You're tripping on Joe Road's realistic recreations of elephant feet and rhino dung, because the park. Yeah, I think half the park was designed to be closed anytime it was dark, and I think the other half of the park was Avatar was designed to be exclusively open while it was dark.
So it's something that they obviously need to adapt, but with Tropical Americas, and I'm hoping some new major expansion up close to Cali River Rapids. They've got a whole area there. They're kind of preparing for something. I'm hoping they make an announcement for a new nighttime show. There was Rivers of Light, which lasted.
We've got
not very
drones
long.
now, so I feel as
Exactly,
though with
that's the
drones, you can
thing.
put on something,
That's
can't
the
you?
thing. Disney Adventure World just opened with Cascade of Lights that has the tech that's perfect for this show. So you've got barges and drones that come from barges and go into the barges when they're done, and you've got little boats, drones, and you've got boats that has fountains. There's so much that could perfectly build a nighttime spectacular around. So that's definitely one announcement I would love to see happening.
The only
Because-
counter argument,
yeah.
the only counter argument I know to that is that there's a very particular way that Animal Kingdom gets staffed, and they effectively count on the fact that certain staff will kind of work between the Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom because they can guarantee there would be more people available to work at night. So there's a very particular staffing trick they use with Animal Kingdom, specifically knowing it's always going to be closed before you'll notice this that you know, suddenly later at night when it comes to fireworks shows and when it comes to the parade and such, and in the Magic Kingdom, that suddenly there's a surge of staff. And that is a lot to do with the fact that they can count on when Animal Kingdom's going to close and effectively bus up an awful lot of guest flow to make the magic happen up there. So it's not, it's not inconceivable they can fix that, but it is definitely something that operationally it was designed.
It's not as simple as just saying we're open later, right? But I mean, it's not something that's impossible to work around, right? But yeah, so that's Animal Kingdom, folks. Should we go to?
I think one last thing to just add on that is Tropical America is going to be phenomenal to see in the nighttime. So again, much like Avatar, it'd be a dire shame if Two of the Lands really owe themselves to this dark background with the sort of lights that Tropical Americas are going to bring and the sort of festival atmosphere you're going to have there. If we don't, we turn
it's just
we shut
sad.
it down. Yeah, I'm sure they've thought of that. I'm sure. We're not going to be making fun of them.
I'm hoping. Yeah, I'm hoping. But yeah,
well, since we're already in Disney World, let's just stick there and let's just finish off Disney World. Well, there's not much we can say about Villains Land other than there kind of is Villains Land, and we're hoping to learn a lot more about it just now.
Villains Land is happening, but we know nothing about it, so that's basically it. Like, so we can go to Cars though.
I bet you're all glad you tuned into this point. I bet you're all glad. Let's go and get their thoughts. Oh yeah, it's happening. That's like you've came for the exclusives here.
Yeah, well, it's true though. We don't know anything about villains so far, so. Yeah, we can go to Cars. So we can stay in the Magic Kingdom. We can go to Cars, and we can go to Tomorrowland. There's some interesting rumors there. But Cars, have we covered Cars? I'm a bit lost, honestly.
Sorry, you mean Car? I was like, Cars isn't going to Tomorrowland. Have I missed this? No, Cars is going to Piston Peak, which is going to be
Piston Peak. Yeah.
Piston Peak is going to take over the Rivers of America, which is where the boat sort of dawdles about between and Tom Sawyer Island is. And it's going to take up that whole space from where the Haunted Mansion begins, sweep all the way around in front of the Liberty area, all the way around to Frontierland, and it's going to connect that into a walkable and interactable land. It's going to, it's going to be Frontierland plus.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, we've just seen the new model and it looks incredible. It really combines the land together perfectly well, in my opinion. We don't know when it's opening. But
controversial thing you've said tonight. You're going to get
The
roasted.
second-
Like, by the way, this could be the
Sure,
fall
bring it
of
on.
mainstream news.
Bring it on.
We've not podcasted
I'll
in
defend my
8
point.
months.
I'll
We've
defend
not
my points
podcasted in
because
8 months, and he's gone after Mr. Toad first of all, and now he's going after. This is not a controversial decision. This is not going to take a wrecking ball to Walt's vision. I like this, Bernardo.
Walt's
Keep going. It's usually me that gets slammed in the comments.
the thing is, it wasn't Walt's vision, and it was the worst Frontierland anywhere in the world. So I'm happy it's getting something new.
We were talking before the podcast about how that was just Frontierland and the Magic Kingdom is just a bolt on to bolt on to bolt on. That it's not actually like.
Absolutely, and now it looks like yesterday Imagineering did a bit of a small panel at the Imagineering Pavilion, and they talked about how they're thinking of how to incorporate, because Frontierland is quite small, right? We look at the map. Most of Frontierland, what we think is Frontierland, is actually the what's the name? God, the Liberty Squares, right?
Yeah.
So, and the way the fun, interesting thing is that you can very easily connect both lands together, and I think that what Cars is doing is basically that. It's connecting all the way from the Haunted Mansion to Tiana's Bayou Adventure and Pecco's Bill Cafe. So all of it is going to be like one much more cohesive land and area in the park.
It's also going to help that currently you can get stuck for 45 minutes if there's a parade. You can get
absolutely.
You can genuinely get stuck between Tiana's Bayou Adventure and everything else because the parade literally rolls down there and there's no way to get out.
Yeah. Well, now that's definitely something that'll be fixed because you've got a lot of new pathways into, and so all the way to Big Thunder Mountain, right? So yeah, I'm quite excited to see how that turns out. Construction is moving. Yeah. Construction is moving quite fast there. They've gotten rid of everything from the rivers to the Tom Sawyer's Island, and it's happening at a very quick pace. So I wonder if they were
probably worried that the Winders in the comments might have started staging protests. So it was easier to get rid of it.
They're going to glue themselves to the trees in Tom Sawyer's Island. But yeah, I think we could see an opening date being revealed tonight. Maybe early to mid 2028. I don't know.
We're just lucky I'm not in charge of opening dates because I'd be like, yeah, next year, we'll make it happen.
Next year.
How long construction takes. I always enjoy reading you and Catology and the people who are arguing on our Discord about timelines and things, because to me, I look at them and I'm like, surely this should be done. Like,
it should be done by next week.
Yeah, like it's looking nearly there, and you guys are like, no, they've got all this to do, and I'm like, it just looks kind of done. Like, surely this is done. Like, I still can't believe we couldn't get the swing ride thing open in Disneyland Paris for Disney's Adventure World. Like, those rides pop up at fairs all across and get set up in about 2 days. Are we honestly saying it was beyond us to get one of them planted in the ground?
It's not really the same thing, but yeah, no, I understand. I understand what you mean.
I mean, Aladdin, the carpets Aladdin was down for 6 months for a refurb. It's literally a spinner ride that's they
rebuilt it from the ground up, the mechanism and stuff. It's not as easy as just unloading it from the back of the van like they do for the fairs, right? That's
a good point. In the comments, they haven't even started building the ride yet in Disneyland Paris. They're building the building.
Yeah, no, exactly.
The ride. It seemed to surprise. Came out of nowhere that there was an expansion going on. We haven't, just wild that's a thing. But Piston Peak, one of the things that caught me a bit is this is now several times this has happened. Well, concept art used to be deliberately vague, and it was always very vague. But we've started getting more and more, probably through computers and such. We've got much more detailed concept art that comes out, and that has some pitfalls. So I spoke about this yesterday on Discord about how the company that apparently has a huge attention to detail. You've got, they released the Lion King ride information originally in Disneyland Paris and used, they were using the live action remake picture as part of it. Like, And then they had to issue a correction, being like, no. And they didn't even get the correction right. If I remember correctly, they were like, it will be using the one that everyone knows and loves, but then didn't specify. They mean the cartoon version from like 1984. Like they didn't even specify. So the communication there was terrible as well. But
Yeah, it was. I think. I don't know what happened there, because it was like the biggest possible announcement for Disneyland Paris in six years. So it's like, how did you mess that up so badly? What was it, like a miscommunication between Disneyland Paris's Imagineering, like WDI Paris, and whoever's running that? Or I remember
it's because they had somebody
it was like 5 in the morning.
They had someone like me doing it, which is just like, oh yeah, just put some characters here. What have we got? What have we got in the fight? Oh, we've got that one saved. Yeah, just use that.
Transparent backgrounds. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do. We've got that from an
exactly. Old. It was like 5 in the morning. We had the movie 2 years ago.
We had the movie preview. Throw it up.
I just stared at the screen like, this is not what's happening. What the hell? Because I knew, like, it was known that it was going to be the cartoon version, but then what? How does that happen?
Well, I just hope it happened again. So it happened again with Piston Peak, because everybody assumed when Piston Peak was put out there that this was going to be a rebuild of effectively Radiator Springs from California Adventure.
Yeah,
and it was going to be Test Track, and it was going to be a dueling racing thing, and there was a whole amount of noise made about that. And now they've effectively said there's not only, will it not be that ride system, which I don't think it ever was going to be that ride system, to be totally honest, because they have nothing but
they shared a lot
ride
of
system.
They've shared quite a bit of information regarding it. There was a video of them doing like off-road stuff. Do you remember seeing that?
Yeah,
like,
but you get
stuff.
That's just nonsense that Disney come up with. That that's just Joe Road level nonsense of, we had to go over a rock because nobody knows what a rock feels like. It's like, shut up. Like,
but it's just, I mean, it's proof that it's not the same ride system, I guess. I don't know.
But point two, they don't race. How could you possibly have a car ride that doesn't race? Like, this is the more ridiculous thing I think about it. But I mean, that's just where we're at. And did you see the artwork where it looks like they're getting, I don't even know the name of it because it's that bad. The wee spin cars ride that we've got in Disneyland Paris, the terrible thing.
Cars 4 Rally, yes. They're getting their own version.
I mean, Jim Shull must be like doing a backflip because that was his big project. Like the crescendo to the old Walt Disney Studios was, I don't even know the name of it, Cars Rally Ride or something. Because I think it's only in French.
4 Rally, yes. It's like 4.
Translate it because it was that bad. But anyway, somehow.
Who's like street? I don't know.
Walt Disney World has decided it's going to install it as well. So
yeah,
good luck.
Sure, why not?
Mind you,
it has capacity, so
it's quite good as alien swirling saucers.
Yeah, but those are two different ride systems, because one has like the car in the front which pulls you and you just follow it. But
is it not the same? Is it not the same underneath? Is it not the same ride system?
Underneath it is, but like the cars is not, because here in Paris you see like in the car that has like the slot connected to the bottom part that moves. Mm-hmm. There you follow the car that has a slot, so you move like around and you move like to the sides also. So it's more thrilling, I guess. It's like the next level of the Cars 4 Rally ride system. But here it looks like they're getting the vanilla version, so I don't know.
Back to the original. And then they can say it's safely not the worst new ride, the worst ride, because we can always point to Mr. Toad. Moving on. But
Tomorrowland. So let's go to Tomorrowland, shall we?
What they have gained though, actually, is the Rivers of America. Was just a lot of space, and unlike Disneyland, where it's being used for Fantasmic and has sort of dual uses and things, and there's a massive amphitheater, in Walt Disney World it literally just takes up lots of space. That's all it does. Prime space in a part of the park that's ridiculously busy, and you can get stuck when there's a parade. So it's really nice to see that they've managed to engineer that out. You want to go to Tomorrowland?
Yep. Yeah, I think so, because Tomorrowland, so confirmed happening. We've got the Carousel of Progress update that they're going to be doing.
Which looks tasteful and nice.
It does. I was very surprised to see them actually doing it, because, you know, it's one of those projects that you have to do well or people just rebel, I guess. But
I like Carousel of Progress.
It looks.
I love it. How long is Carousel of Progress? Is it 27 minutes or something? It's quite long.
It's something like that. Yeah, it's like 25 minutes. Yeah.
But it's really nice.
Great.
Like, I like going there when it's really hot, and you can just cool down. And it's a wonderful, I wish you could eat and drink in it. That's the one thing I wish you could do. They don't let you. Like, they should just skip a cabin. They should clean it in between. I wish you could have like a hot dog in there. Like, I would prefer to eat my lunch while watching that. But it's a wonderful, like, it's something I do every single trip at least once. And I think, I'm so glad that it's going to survive the penny.
No, it's not only going to survive, but it looks like it's going to be the biggest renovation it's seen since it was built, because they're going to be completely changing all the scenes. They're going to add a new scene with Walt Disney in the beginning. So like the first room, you stare at like the curtain with the logo. Now it's going to be a new scene with Walt Disney presenting the Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress, which is quite fun. With the same audio animatronic as the one from Disneyland, and wonderful. Then you've got those new scenes that are a lot more relatable to people actually riding the ride nowadays, and I think it's going to look incredible. It looks very nice. It's happening.
And I'm glad they've not changed it to just screens, because it would be so easy to change that to just watching something rather than.
Absolutely. And then next door, we've got some big rumors regarding Space Mountain. So is it going to be completely renovated with new tracks, and they're going to get rid of the dual track and dual loading station of that old tubular system, coaster system, or not?
One thing I'd basically say is that ride system is a grown-up, a large version of what you would know as a Crazy Mouse roller coaster.
Absolutely.
And I think just about every other Crazy Mouse in the world has now been decommissioned. So I think the likelihood is it's the end of life. I think that's going to happen.
You think it's going to be announced tonight? A new version for Space Mountain?
See, originally, I think you're all mad. So when it comes to the Terre de la Lune or Ala Lune or whatever, the Earth, the Moon, I genuinely, they moved it to Mission 2 genuinely because it needed refreshed and it needed something new. It needed a bit more bang for its buck, and I get that. And then they added Hyperspace Mountain because, again, Disneyland Paris was financially in trouble, and Star Wars, yay, it was doing a huge thing, and I get that. Star Wars. We've been having this conversation for years, by the way.
Yes, since the Disney Discord existed, right?
Yeah, I think we argued about this on day one. So do I think necessarily they want to take Star Wars out? No. I think that
we were talking about the one in Magic Kingdom. I think that's a different discussion we can have. Let's just finish off things.
Yeah.
Let's just finish off things here.
Magic Kingdom, I think they're just going to get a much more child-friendly roller coaster that is going to be
something
cool.
Something close to Big Thunder Mountain, maybe. Over in the Magic Kingdom, that is.
I mean, one of the problems you've got, Magic Kingdom has in that the immediate vicinity has the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And has the Goofy's Barnstormer. So you've got a problem that you've got two kind of Barnstormer roller coasters that are both right there. So you need to do something slightly different. I'm not sure. There had a lot of success with Cosmic Rewind, but you've got a Cosmic Rewind.
Yeah, but you can't really transform Space Mountain into a Disney thrill ride, Because you've got Tron right to its side, right?
Yeah, but that's why I wonder if we're going to get another version of kind of Cosmic Rewind that happens to be quite friendly towards children, that we already have a
Okay.
ride system for that we know is hellishly popular.
Yeah, so you mean the Cosmic Rewind, the Omni coaster system? Is that-
No. There's something very similar to the Cosmic Rewind coaster, but is more friendly towards children. And it might be closer to home.
Are you going to elaborate on that, or
Well, since you
just
can't,
want me
since
to
you can't
guess?
guess from my
I don't know.
fantastic
Oh, is it
description.
Crush's Coaster? Is it Crush's
It
Coaster?
is. I think there's a good possibility
Okay.
they'll keep the whole dual loading thing or triple loading thing, and I think we're possibly going to get something.
Okay.
Not obviously Crush's Coaster, but I think you could create like a really cool Space Mountain that uses that sort of technology. Because Crush's Coaster is incredible. Like Crush's Coaster is so much fun. Is it?
But
You've got to remember.
Crush's Coaster. You were talking about a family ride. Crush's Coaster is, I mean, it's more thrilling than Magic Kingdom's Big Thunder Mountain,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So
But
it's.
But
I don't know.
That's I don't think you can just add another. You can't add another Big Thunder Mountain style mine train. We're going to rule out a Wild Mouse because they're out. You're not going to go for Kyle. You're not going to go for something that's Cosmic Rewind. You're not going to put in a Disneyland Paris style Space Mountain because remember,
not.
one of the problems they've got is there is not room for them to, they're not going to redo the building. The building is going to have to fit within that building. So you need to, there are some constraints. You're not getting a Vekoma like stand-up coaster. You're not getting, there's a lot you're not getting.
There's a lot of space inside. You've got to remember, it's I think that's the largest Space Mountain show building. It's huge. So you've got 2 coasters inside. Like you could possibly fit. It might not be the tallest, but it's incredibly large. Like it's quite it's very big, right? You've got 2 coasters inside, so it must have some space. Well, of course, there are small coasters.
The good news is I imagine that we are less than 5 hours out from finding out, because I think that's going to be the end reveal. And the wider point
you think the big reveal will be Space Mountain?
Yeah, I think there's a lot on Space Mountain. So let's just roll on Space Mountain just now. So we've got Japan, which is obviously doing Earthrise, Space Mountain Earthrise,
which looks incredible, by the way.
It does. Then we're going to roll on and we're going to say that, the argument is that Disneyland Paris is about to announce its retheme, and I think the biggest thing to kind of tick that box is we're about 10 years of Hyperspace Mountain now. So
am I about to listen? Wait, am I about to listen? Graeme actually say that he thinks Space Mountain in Paris is going to get rid of Star Wars and big refurbishment. Is this actually happening right now?
Yeah, I think this is probably the time we're going to see a refurbishment. Bearing in mind, for the last 5 years, I have been every year you've told me this refurbishment, and everybody goes, "This is the refurbishment," and I have to remind you all it is not going to happen, and it has not happened. So. I have been right so far.
You're switching sides now.
I now think, and bear in mind, I want like everybody to know that I am quite accurate on this sort of stuff when I predict it, and everybody, in retrospect, then agrees with me, but it disagrees with me for 5 years up to the point. I think we're probably going to see a retheme, and
I'm still waiting for Fantasmic, but sure, go ahead.
Fantasmic is. Did I tell you that Cascade of Light would be absolute? Did I say it would be terrible? Cascade of Light will be terrible and will need replaced.
It's not terrible. It's got a lot of potential.
So does Mr. Toad. So we've got a situation where they've got Japan is doing Earthrise. The Magic Kingdom is almost definitely going to have to do a Space Mountain rething. And then it just owes it. It just gives us this, wonderful canvas to say, let's weave through this SEA thing, and then we've got the 3 Space Mountains. We're going to do them all. We're going to make them all incredible. They're all going to be different experiences. Blah blah blah. And I think you can absolutely do that. You can retheme Paris. Its ride system's probably okay. It needs a wee bit of retrack, but the ride system's okay. The Magic Kingdom literally needs the whole thing pulled out and rebuilt, which is fine. I've probably already thought of that. And then you've obviously got the rebrand and the rebuild in Japan.
So a couple of weeks ago, I did my predictions video, and I said exactly that. I said that I thought that all the Space Mountains would probably get something new, and it could be like a joint announcement. We're doing this huge Space Mountain worldwide tour, right? Now, I'm not sure about the tracks and Space Mountain in Paris. It's not doing so good. Like it's not very reliable. You have the launch, which is a huge pain in the ass because you've got to switch the cable every 6 months.
Yeah,
a lot
but
of times the cable doesn't last 6 months.
If it was down for a year, they can change that to the magnet things now.
Yeah, of course, but it's a huge undertaking, and the rumor is that it's going to be closed for almost 2 years. So that's the rumor. It doesn't come from me; it comes from all kinds of sources. If that happens, yeah, absolutely. I think we could see. I think they're not going to change the ride. Yeah,
some of those people were on Twitter telling us the last time the cable snapped, it'd be down for nearly 3 months until they changed it, and it was back up after about 4 days.
No, the cable swap takes like 3 days. But
we learned that after the rumor bunch the last time they came up with this utter nonsense that this, and then remember the infamous like it was going to be down for 6 months, that then magically when it doesn't happen, everybody goes, "Oh, it got cancelled." No, it didn't get cancelled. It was never happening. They were like, "Oh yeah, the moon's coming back. The moon's coming back. It's going down for 6 months." It never happened. It was never on the plans for happening. Everybody told me I was wrong then. I was right.
There was a project for 2020 that was cancelled, and that's something. No, it is, and there's some proof of it.
The moon was coming back. Was stolen from us.
It actually was.
Give this man a postponed. Pin. You got the little cannon. They gave you the little cannon thing, and you all went and bought your little cannons.
I have my cannon, yeah. Thanks to Catology, I have my cannon. It's gorgeous.
By the way, just I'm still wrong on that, but there's time for me to be right on that as well when the non-limited edition version of that comes rearing out.
Well, I didn't buy it because it was limited edition. I bought it because it's something. It was very nice, very nicely done. So just for your information. But going back, there was a project for
the funny thing about that. Do you remember it was limited to 500 editions? In the first box they sold it and said like number 173 of 600.
Yeah.
It's really funny. This is a 500 piece limited edition. And it literally said on the box your number out is 600. I don't know why that tickles me so much, but it really does.
Yeah. That's classic.
Sorry, I've totally derailed you. Continue on with the Magic Kingdom and Space Mountain.
Yeah, I mean we're done with the Magic Kingdom, I guess. But I just wanted to say
there were some people.
There truly was a project for 2020 that was postponed after the pandemic caused the closure of the parks. That project was much smaller than the supposed one in store now. It wasn't going to have a retrack. It was just removing and basically reinstating Mission 2 with some changes, which was already supposed to happen just a few years after Star Wars took over. But that got postponed, and supposedly now the project is much larger. So thanks to that postponement, we now get a much larger project. If it does happen, and if it's not just a bunch of BS, but we'll see. I guess we'll see. I'm done with Space Mountain. Yes.
Yeah, but I don't think your moon's coming back. I think you're going to get something. I don't think it's going to be the moon. By the way, if it's the moon, we'll need to. I forget what I promised to do in the event that they did bring your moon back.
Look,
you've never rode the moon, have you? Just out of curiosity.
No, I haven't. I was wondering.
Neither have 90%. Neither have 90% of the people who crow about it. By the way.
Yeah,
they should bring back the moon. Most of them have never rode it. They worship this ride that they've never been on.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's the same thing with Figment, I guess. It's actually Figment and the moon have a lot in common if you think about it. They just like the ride that was
a terrible ride.
Not today's Figment, the original Journey into Imagination. Come on, man. No, so now you're gonna get cancelled. It's not me. It's not me. It's not
I
me.
like Figment. The ride is terrible. The one thing I hope they fix, do you know what? If you're going to do a refurb off Space Mountain, the one thing you need to do is get rid of whatever gives you that daft headache at the end, and you need to take out a couple of G-forces or something, make it a little bit less rough. It is a terribly rough ride.
You gotta retrack it, right? The new trains really helped with that.
No,
but
I still get a headache with the new train.
Yeah, of course, okay, but it's better than the old trains. You know?
Well, the old train was like being in a car crash, so I mean everything's better.
Yeah, exactly. So it's better, but you got to do a real retrack of it to really get that roughness out. I think Efteling did something with Python. I think which
did they not do
same...
something? They put sand or something in the track and it dampens the effect or something. I read about that.
The vibrations, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
They completely retracked Python, so a couple of years ago. I'm not sure if they did it with the sand. I think I remember hearing something like that. I can't really say for sure.
We've also got just one eye on time because we're now coming up for 2 hours, which is kind of fun. That is kind of fun. This may be our longest podcast. We've got The Lion King, obviously, in Disneyland Paris, which we will probably get. We are going to get to see more about The Lion King because Disney themselves are very excited about this ride.
Absolutely. Some updates are sure to pop up. I'm hoping we can see something regarding. Yep.
What do you want to see? Like, this is the thing I was trying to think about. What am I, not what am I expecting to see, but what do I want to see about it? Because, I mean, The Lion King, we kind of know, The Lion King
we know the layout.
Unknown to us. We know the story.
Yeah, we know the layout. When it comes to the ride, we know already the layout because of the blueprints. We kind of can guess what scene is which from the movie, from the layout. I would personally like to see some peeks into the audio animatronics.
What did your video think the big splash would be? What was the grand drop? Was that
so before the drop is like the battle for Pride Rock? So it's like when everything's burning and Simba goes against Scar.
Oh, so you don't think it's like Mufasa falling off the cliff?
Oh no, absolutely not. Because this is like right at the end of the ride, and this is a book report ride. So Mufasa, I think there are 2 other drops in the ride inside the show building. One of those I think is a perfect candidate to be that, so that like Mufasa falling over and we fall with him. I think that could very well happen inside the show building. So the last one I think is going to be like the climax of the movie, the big battle with Scar and Simba just following us, going up the drop, right? And then we go down, and when we go back into it, it's like the huge. It's one of the largest scenes in the ride. It's a huge scene, like. It's going to probably have a lot of screens and stuff, like huge domes and stuff. I think that'll be the end of the ride with Circle of Life. So like, like the movie ends. So yeah, I think that's... But what I would like to see is a look at maybe a different indoors scene, because everything we've seen from the inside sections is that one scene with Timon and Pumbaa and Simba as a cub. So I guess it's Hakuna Matata. I would personally love to see something like Be Prepared, or something like that, and a peek at audio animatronics. That's probably my choices.
Nice. I mean, I'm not overly excited about it because I think, although it is going to be a different sort of ride in Disneyland Paris. It is absolutely going to be, something that people walk to and talk about, and it's good. I think I'm still salty that we're not getting Rise of the Resistance. I think that's still the salt in my wound when it comes to the Lion
Yeah.
King. Is I feel as though we're getting. I'll not call it a clone because it'll upset you, but we're getting a log flume for what could have been Rise of the Resistance. But on the flip side, though, if we do if this genuinely does mean that in Discovery Land we're going to get a fantastic Star Wars, built from scratch, Batu level thing, then it's probably for the better. To be fair.
No, exactly. But let me just say that I personally think that the Lion King land will do a lot more for Disney Adventure World than Rise of the Resistance would have, especially internationally speaking, because there are two already existing Rise of the Resistance rides, right? And there's nothing on Lion King, which is one of the largest animated properties Disney has ever had. It's huge.
I still wish they'd move the show across there.
Yeah. No, it could. Yeah.
I still wish that show would just move across there. I think that having a Lion King land and then there's Lion King in the other parks it really bugs me. Like it's like the Buzz Lightyear thing isn't in Toy Story Playland. Like that just doesn't work. But going back to Star Wars and Discovery Land, so there was that rumor posted by I'm not sure if I can call it a rumor because it was more speculation than anything, but they did say they heard it. So WDWNT, so Walt Disney World News Today, they posted the video for their predictions on D23, and they said that they predicted that a ride or a land would take over Autopia in Discovery Land, and that took everyone by surprise because it's incredibly stupid and makes no sense, and no one had ever heard anything about that. So, is it happening? I don't think so. It makes no sense. They have the perfect spot for it, behind Space Mountain, behind Discovery Land, connected to the existing Star Wars ride, right? The Star Tours. So it's really dumb and it makes no sense. To me, it feels like one of those fake rumors that the Disney would send out to find the rat, the leaker. But it's so strange because they doubled down on it. They said, no, this is something we know very well. Disneyland Paris is, and we follow and it's so strange because it really is very strange. But I don't think it's happening. I think we would see something take over Indiana Jones, Moana, or something in that side of Adventureland before we see Star Wars in the park. I'd be glad to be surprised and we get a Rise of Resistance style attraction in Discoveryland. Sometimes, though, we get these rumours and they start off quite grand and they say they're going to take out Autopia and they're going to do this, that, and the next thing. And then that develops and it's actually Star Wars Land's going to be a bit bigger and it's going to take on some of the space of Autopia and they're going to have to reroute it a little bit. Sometimes we get these rumours and they sound like we're going to close Autopia and we're going to build on top of it. And actually what it means is we're going to reroute it a bit and we're going to make it a bit smaller and we're going to, move a couple of fences.
Absolutely. And we talked about that here in the Disneyverse, and we saw because Autopia and the expansion plot behind Discoveryland, they're very well, they connect. If you passed under the train tracks, it would be a huge land and a huge opportunity there. And Autopia, let's just face the truth. Autopia isn't a great ride. It was an afterthought for Discoveryland. Most plans don't include Autopia because it really was we need more capacity. Let's just place this here and call it a day. And it's a very cheap ride, but it's a very expensive ride to maintain and operate, though, which is interesting. So it is, because you got to have a lot of cast members. You got to have all the maintenance for each of the cars. It's really not an easy ride to operate because of that.
It's also, it takes up a lot of space in Prime.
Yeah, absolutely. It's huge. It takes a huge huge amount of land. So from that point, it makes some sense, but it doesn't make sense because why would you take out a ride when you've got like 5 or 6 huge expansion plots? And it makes also, I don't think it makes sense because we've never heard anything about this. And it's like popped out of nowhere, right? So
the one thing I'd like to add is my own rumor, and that is I'm still convinced that there's a sneaky.
Yeah.
This is my speculation. This is my sneaky little one I want to add in, and it's in addition to I'm still convinced Phantasmic will appear. And it'd be fab time for Phantasmic because, you know, there's refurbs going on. There's some stuff planned at Disney World, which is, I think it's just technical upgrades. And then there's going to be the whole new dragon at Disneyland. I still think Disneyland Paris could have a Phantasmic, but they're not going to do that to Cascade of Light just now. They're going to let that burn for a few years until they do that. But the one thing I genuinely think there's a good chance of, and this is again something that I've repeated many, many times, I think there's a good possibility we're going to either hear about or have a nod to in the near future. And I think the 35th anniversary of the park is just the perfect time to do it. Is I think Runaway Railway is a dead certainty at some point in the near future. And by near, I mean within 10 years.
Yeah, I think so too. We've covered it here in the podcast several times. And Runaway Railway is a very cheap ride to build, right? It's just, you got the plans already and it's mostly screen-based and stuff. So it's very cheap and it's a good ride. People love that ride. It's great for families. Everyone has a good time in it. So the question then is, should they build it in studios or should they build it in Disneyland Park?
I think it'll be Disneyland Park.
Yeah, because you can make it work in Fantasyland, but personally, I think it would make more sense in Disney Adventure World in World Premiere. But yeah, I think the expansion plot behind the Fantasyland train station would be like a prime candidate for Runaway Railway. I've actually made the plans, and it fits perfectly well there. One of those videos. Videos.
One other thought I was having during the week, and this is just a fantasy that I have rather than anything that has any concrete basis.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen that in the heat waves that they've had to stop the fireworks, which, you know, they've had to do that because they'd always set fire to the whole of Paris, which is fine.
Yeah.
We know they've got drones, we know they've got fountains, we know they've got, you know, noises and lasers. But to me, it seemed like they must have been kicking themselves they didn't have a night parade that they could have just shot out instead.
Yeah. I still think, and so
because let me put it like this: if I said Tales of Magic, we're not running the fireworks, everybody is gutted. Everybody's like, oh, it's not as good. But if you said, look, we can't run Tales of Magic this week because it's 35 degrees and we might set the world on fire. But you said, and I'm just using this as an example just now, nobody has to attack me over the name I'm going to use, but if you said you had the Main Street Electrical Parade or you had Fantalusion or you had something like that and you just were like, but the Main Street Electrical Parade is coming out next week.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
The crowds would go wild.
No, I think so too. I think that every Disney resort should have one one nighttime parade.
I don't think I'll caveat this because people always say, oh, the reason they want to get rid of it, and there's some cast members said the reason that they don't is because it doesn't get dark in Paris until much later than it gets dark in Florida and California, and therefore they can't run both because it basically some nights is barely dark when they do the fireworks, so they have to keep the park open for the fireworks, let alone running a parade as well. Which makes sense. However, the parade doesn't have to be a 30 float spectacular. You can absolutely do a Disneyland Paris cavalcade that everybody loves already with 5 or 6 floats.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need a 30. No,
one thing that go ahead.
I was just going to say, we don't need a 30 float spectacular. We are happy to have a night cavalcade. The cavalcades are sometimes better because they have less filler in them.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true. And something that I've defended for a few years already is something that there's the rumor that for the 35th extended, so this is 2028, the Disneyland Park would be receiving a new parade. So Disney Stars on Parade would be retired, and a brand new parade would come and replace it. But I've defended this for years, because a parade, and especially if we look at what they've done for the Christmas parade, it has the same floats, it has the same people, but it plays 2 times or 4 times a day. But there's the day version and there's the night version, right? And it works so incredibly well. For both versions work so incredibly well, and that, I think, is what we should be looking into. I think Disneyland Park, because it doesn't get so dark, as dark as
you want
Florida,
rather than a
one that can work perfectly. You want one that can work perfectly well during the day, during the sunset, or during it's dusk, absolutely, and like very dark out during the winter. So I think that would be like what they should do. And it really would add, and you can run it like it could be the 2 versions, one for the day and one for the night, like year round, or you can have one just like a nighttime parade, but it's like a dusk parade during the summer, But yeah, I really do think this idea has a lot of potential in Paris, because of how at 10:30 p.m. it's still light out. So yeah, I think we could definitely think that. Oh god, we could definitely see something like that. It's getting late already, and I'm getting tired. So
you're flagging already. Well, we're in the just to summarize, in case somebody's just getting their news from us. The other things that you're likely to see tonight is an awful lot on the expansions, specifically the Avengers expansions in California, which we don't cover a lot of California here, because I feel as though there's so much. You're not going to struggle anywhere else to get some California coverage, because it gets talked about endlessly, and you're not going to get the best takes from us on California. Yeah,
I've never been to California, so I really want to go one day, but not yet. So, I
have. There's a lot that we could learn from California, but there's also a lot they could learn from us.
Yeah. Okay.
So, is there anything else you want to cover? What do you think? So, I've said that I think the Runaway Railway and some sort of night parade could be my secret wishes here. I don't think either are going to happen, but they are my secret wishes. What about you? What are you secretly hoping that's not already generally rumoured? What's the Bernardo? Oh, I really hope, but I don't think so.
Honestly, I would probably say the
Space Mountain, the Return of the Moon.
Not that one, but probably a replacement for Cars Road Trip. And this is something that I've noticed. If you look at the model for the Frontierland Cars expansion they're doing in the Magic Kingdom, you could probably fit that quite well on top of Cars Road Trip. I'm not saying, because I read some comments and some stuff that possibly Disneyland Paris, Walt Disney Imagineering Paris, paid for quite a bit of the development, the R&D for that ride. It's happened a lot before. We've paid for Soarin'. Paris has paid for the development of Soarin', Rise of the Resistance, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. So many different rides Paris has contributed a lot of money into that it didn't end up getting. And this one is just, I'm not sure about this, but it seems that possibly we've put some money into this, and it would also be the perfect opportunity to have an entrance, combine both parks from Frontierland into Disney Adventure World, because you've got these 2 similarly themed lands. So yeah, that would probably be the secret, maybe not an exact clone of Cars, but something to do with that, replacing Cars Road Trip. Either that on an expansion of Adventureland. So yeah, that's probably it.
I get what you mean about it being unlikely, but it makes
It is unlikely.
I mean, the one thing that's
There's
kind of going against it, and I mean, people laugh at this, but Cars Road Trip is relatively busy. Like,
No, it is. It is.
If you look at the wait times, it's regularly soaking up a lot of people. Like,
No, that's true. No, absolutely.
People are always like, "Oh, who goes in that?" But actually, it's relatively busy most of the time.
I think I ride it at least once every time I travel to Paris, because it's a great spot to just, rest
Chill.
for 10 minutes or something. But it's truly just a sad ride.
It's quite
so
highly
sad.
rated. I learned this, that it's actually rated quite highly. Like, it's not considered a poor attraction by people who've been on it. So, the big elephant in the room for Paris, the big elephant in the room that I don't understand personally, is the stunt show. How that is still just neglected. I don't understand how that's not already become an Avengers stunt show, because it feels like you could even just bring back the exact stunt show we had and just change it to the Avengers rather than like a.
Well, you've got the Alice in Wonderland show now, so I mean, not now because it's it's currently stopped, but next year it'll come back. There will be. Yeah, it doesn't. It's quite bad. But yes, I do think
funded because we were getting the Alice in Wonderland movie or something. Like, there was not some daft reason we got.
I have no idea why they did that. It makes absolutely no sense. But
I mean, it was originally going to be the Jungle Book Jive, which again made absolutely no sense either. And they went through decorating and everything, and then obviously
but that one was good, right? The show itself, the music was great and stuff. So
would it have worked there? Like, I don't know.
No, it wouldn't. It's
the Jungle Book Jive, by the way, for anyone who's not experienced it, you need to go and watch on YouTube. I have it on my channel, but you can find it literally on anywhere on YouTube. And it was probably one of the most bizarre, crazy, ridiculous, probably never happened again shows.
It was very Disneyland Paris, I guess. Entertainment-wise, it was very Disneyland Paris.
But it's better than almost. It's the best hub show I've ever seen. Like, I don't think there's a hub show that beats it. And that includes like the Christmas Castle show and everything in the Magic Kingdom. I'm telling you, the Jungle Book Jive was absolutely perfection for a hub show. It just was crazy. I don't know if that would have worked if you were sitting in a stadium, but it was one of the great shows there. I would like to see them do something with that. I just feel the Avengers are sitting there, and somehow we've got California's got the Spider-Man that catapults itself and everything. I just feel there's so much you could bring in that stunt show arena that's built and sitting there and does nothing. Or you could put Fantasmic in it. You could do anything. Fantastic.
But yeah, the only issue with it's just it's so large that for if you're going to do like an Avengers stunt show, you have to like really invest into, because it's built for cars, right? So you can easily follow the cars. But for single people, it's way too big. It's hard to focus on just that. So you gotta, to do it well, you gotta invest quite a bit into it.
Oh no!
So then, because what I'm saying is because it is also prime real estate for an Avengers expansion. So it comes down to, should we keep it running like this for 2-3 years, or should we really invest in for like the next 6 years of a show, or 7 years or whatever? It's the only thing that it kind of puts me off of that. But yeah, it would absolutely be much better use of that theater than.
What do you think about your Skyliner idea as well? Do you still think we're going to get a Skyliner when we get the third park in Paris?
I absolutely think so. I think so, because the Skyliner is... I love the Skyliner personally, and it's much cheaper to build and operate than a monorail. It's cleaner than boats, and it has incredible capacity. It's always like You don't have to wait for it like a bus or a monorail. It's just constantly carrying people. And then also, most of the companies that actually build these systems are based in France or Switzerland because of all the skiing. So the one that built the Skyliner is based in France. So you've got a lot of local like knowledge already. So it only makes sense to me. But I'm not sure why you brought it up right now.
I was.
'Cause I don't think we're gonna
I'll
have
tell you
the
why.
third park.
I had one final question to ask.
Okay.
What announcement do you think Disneyland Paris will make between the end of D23 and, let's say, 30 days after that they foreseeably could have spoken about at D23 that they have once again saved for post D23? What announcement do you think we're going to get from Disneyland Paris immediately post D23?
Well, hopefully, if they don't announce Space Mountain today, hopefully Space Mountain. But if they do announce Space Mountain, I would say I don't know, maybe the Fourth Lake Hotel, something like that.
That was what I thought. That's where I was going with the Skyliner, because I thought,
Oh, okay, I see.
at that point you have to kind of lock down where the location's going to be for landing the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, there's something we haven't talked about, and I'm not sure if you've seen it. The land between Sequoia Lodge, like the huge plot of land for hotels, and the third park area, that apparently is going to be receiving a bunch of solar panels, and it's going to be a huge solar area.
Farm.
So solar farm. So it's.
Are they not required to do that under French law, though?
Yes, they do. But it's interesting because it locks out that whole land, right?
It doesn't, though. So this is it does in a bit, but it doesn't really, because solar panels are ridiculously cheap these days. The one thing I'd think about that. So Disneyland Paris has a use it or lose it clause. Like, they must use land, or otherwise it gets released by the Ceres Authority, or is it Ceres? Anyway, if they don't use it effectively, they must sell it.
Yes.
Yeah, they must sell it so someone else can use it. They're not allowed to hoard land. They're not allowed to say, "Oh, we foresee in the next 40 years." That's why they've started building berms and things, because they can pretend the third park is under development already. Like, it's under development. We had a shovel of dirt every couple of weeks, and therefore, that's the sort of process they're going through just now. However, if you wanted to protect a large piece of land that is prime real estate next to your hotels, and you really don't want, they really, really don't want more partner hotels getting closer to Disney, because, already there's some partner hotels that are probably closer to the park than some of the on-site hotels. Like the Adagio Ceres is actually probably closer to Disneyland Paris than, if you're staying at the Santa Fe. If you were walking.
Yeah, it might be, yeah.
It is probably a closer,
Especially for Adventure World, yeah.
So if I was Disneyland Paris, and let's say the bit on the right at Avenue Paul Ceremony, across the road from the Newport Bay, if we've already said that they're probably going to build a hotel and convention centre around there, or an arena, we've written that bit off to developed. If I wanted to protect my land behind the Sequoia Lodge but before Park 3, I would find something that was relatively easy to assemble and disassemble, and with a solar panel, if you install it in one place, you can move it to another place with relative ease. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? Like, a solar panel is pretty flexible.
But it's not just a solar panel, right? There's a lot of infrastructure for the electric cables and stuff. It's not as easy as just
but I mean, right? I mean, cables are still relatively in the grand.
I get what.
Like,
I get
if you've got to develop the land, solar panels and cables are a really cheap way to do that.
No, absolutely. Now, the only thing, as far as I know, or as far as I understand, that bit of that plot of land isn't actually like the ones they could possibly lose. That would be the actual third park one, because that's always been. I think that already is included in the hotel and tourist center.
Everything if they weren't very careful.
No, it's very look, we don't have the specifics, right? But it's very it's very specific about a lot of terms and stuff, and Disney can always just renegotiate, which is what they've done with the third park. But that's actually an interesting point that you brought.
I can imagine that this third park is going to have a tiny little swing park put in it. It's going to have 4 swings, 2 slides, two little round, and there's probably a requirement. It's got to have 2 toilets, so they'll have 2 portaloos, and it'll have a little burger van in it, and they'll call it the third park. What do you call that?
Well,
there you go.
Let's be honest. That's basically what they did with Walt Disney Studios. So it's really not that. It's really not that far fetched.
Well, that has been a fantastic podcast at 2 hours and 15 minutes. So,
wow.
I have been Graeme. You've been Bernardo.
Yes.
Yes, I have. Good luck staying up for the announcements, and I really can't wait to hear tomorrow.
Only 4 more hours, right? So it's not bad. I'm going to make dinner now, so lots of interesting and exciting stuff.
Thank you very much, everyone, and catch you on the next one.
Thank you very much.
Which might actually be in a couple of days now that we're going to be told we're totally.
Yeah, we'll see. If Space Mountain is announced, we'll do it another one. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.